Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We're at 1001 South Grant Street here in Canby, located on the right side of the home. That's as you face the front door of the house from the street. That's how I describe everything. And we are on the backyard side of the fence here. The sewer line exits out. If you are walking from the front right corner of the house to the back right corner, up the right side here, line comes out underneath the bedroom window. That's the third window in from the if you walk from the front to the back. And more specifically, it comes out underneath the right side window pane if you're facing straight at the window. Got a 4-inch ABS cleanout. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is running. We're going to zero out at the base of the cleanout. Off we go. All right, we may have some level of standing water there right shortly after we dropped in. I have a bathtub running full bore right now. That much water volume can exaggerate a minuscule belly into something that looks relatively significant. So we'll see how that looks once the line's drained out. I think we've got a little bit of standing water here and there throughout the pipe we've gone through so far, but considering the amount of water we're running, they should be draining out to very, very minor amounts. Another spot there with a little bit right before the transition joint. Very, very common spot. That's the most common spot in a sewer line in general to have standing water, is right before a transition. And just swapped there to 6-inch 3034 PVC pipe. The one plus side when you get bellies at transitions like that is they are usually a good distance from the home. If you're going to have any kind of bellying going on, that's where you'll want things to be. The further and further they get away from the house, the least likely they are to cause a result in the backup. Should a blockage ever happen, theoretically. Alright, and there's the main there, the long sewer line, dang near 100 feet. Usually a house like this, often these lines will go out the front, typically, and be half that length. We're going to go locate the camera head really quick here while the line drains off, and we'll get a better view of things as we come back in. Line's still draining out a little bit here, but real quick, I just located the camera head successfully. Line terminated on South Grant, and where I pick that locate up and then turn around and stare back at the house, as the line makes its way up the right side of the home, it looks like it jaunts toward the driveway. If it gets under the driveway at all, it's barely underneath that right side edge. I don't think it touches much of the driveway though until it goes underneath the driveway skirt, which is the part of the driveway that flares out into a skirt shape right before it connects to the street. But honestly, and seeing the depth the main is here combined with the length the line is, I would, if you told me it was a 100-foot line with a 4-foot 2-inch deep main, I would have guaranteed you this thing would have had way more standing water in it. That's an extremely shallow main lateral. Most sewer lines or mains that I locate, when you've got a 100-foot long line to grade to it, I mean, you're usually, the average line out there is around 8 feet deep in the street. So very, very tight tolerance sewer line. And if you don't grade and compact the ground like no tomorrow on these things, with a tolerance that tight, you're going to have standing water in the line. A line this length, ideally you've got a 8-10 foot deep main to grade to, which allows you to put a much nicer pitch on the line. But if the ground doesn't get compacted quite as nicely, it just resists settling so much nicer when you have a depth like that. So, and it also makes repairing these, I mean, not that I'm saying I'm recommending repairs on them, but when you repair a line with the depth that shallow, where tolerance is so tight, you start getting into a realm where fixing a 5-foot belly sometimes means you're fixing 40 feet of sewer pipe, or you got to chase the grade out so far. You start getting into the ridiculous realm pretty quick. I see a lot of rookies try and repair stuff on lines like this, and they end up bellying right back out again because they don't understand how much pipe you often have to chase down in order to earn your grade back. So in scenarios like these, I rarely recommend repairs unless the problems are really significant. The plus side you've got here with a line of this nature, it's all 4 and 6-inch pipe, which is big diameter pipe, and it's a nice smooth plastic. This is coming from a guy who's I've actually surpassed 25,000 sewer scopes at this point in my career. Done a lot of drain cleaning. And bellies and plastic lines are nowhere near the same kind of animal as they are if you're in old rough pipe materials like concrete and cast iron, where you get the coupling effect of standing water slowing things down, and then rough pipe walls that snag that debris. I'm moving kind of slow here while the line trickles off, just so I can catch any spots where there could be standing water. Thus far, we're looking pretty good here. Most of the standing water stuff is back in the ABS pipe. Yeah, you got a little bit here, dissipates off around 77 feet. And at distances like this from the home, you need really severe problems to result. Actually, that's not a belly at all. There's a little bit of debris in the flow line. My camera's scraped loose. You get a little debris up in front of the camera, and it dams the pipe up slightly. Once I pulled back from that spot, there was no standing water. If there's any in here at all, it's extraordinarily minor. I'm talking like 32nd of an inch. It's not even enough water to occupy the full width of the flow line. Now, this is not the kind of stuff I would ever recommend repairs over. It's way too minor. Yeah, there is a little bit of water in there. It's very, very minor, though. And the kind of stuff you'll consistently see with standing water this minor, and keep in mind, some of that is related to, you can see some of the gunk in the flow line. Once my camera starts scraping that loose, it takes very, very little of it up in front. Unless you have nice, hard slope on the pipe where that water can really overwhelm things, it'll create the appearance of standing water. That PVC there, if it has any amount of standing water in it, is extremely minor. It's not the kind of stuff it's hardly even worth talking about, honestly. So right here at about 62 feet is where the furthest out belly in the ABS dissipates, right at the transition. So right now my camera's sitting kind of sideways. You've got, at its worst point here, we're going to push into the middle of it really quick here. You're right at an inch. When I pull the camera back quickly, that water line easily pulls down below the camera lens. So you're about an inch of water there. As you can see, the top of the pipe and the sidewalls here are clean. There's no major buildup of any kind. The belly here runs from around 58 feet to 62 feet. Holds about an inch of water in it. Anyway, when you start coming back in here, one of the things you learn after looking at a bajillion sewer lines, when a line causes a backup, unless it has just been hydrojetted and they've cleaned every bit of debris out of the line, you will always have debris stuck to the sidewalls and the top of the pipe, where the water normally never touches the sewer line. And it stays there almost indefinitely until someone cleans the pipe. So coming back from that area there, top of the pipe is spotless clean, as are the sidewalls. Zero indication of even a partial blockage that's occurred there. And if you can imagine a blockage even theoretically occurring at almost 60 feet out, you have to fill up at least that much pipe just to get back to the foundation wall. And even more than that to get back to your first fixture. In doing so, you create a very large amount of head pressure. That's the water weight sitting on the blockage. You need a pretty hefty blockage to back up from that distance, and by and large, about the only thing that could ever accomplish that in a line like this, plastic 4-inch pipe, is under abusive scenarios where a lot of improper stuff's going down the line. And right now, there's actually still water trickling through the clean out. If you notice, the water's rippling there. The toilet flapper may not be shutting off completely. That was probably what was causing what looked like a little tiny bit of water out in the green PVC pipe. That accounts for that amount of water completely. About the only belly in this line that I'm even semi-concerned about, and we'll see how it looks here in just a second, was right at the start of the line. Again, still have some water going through the line there. Nice. Yeah, that drained out to almost nothing. With the bathtub running there, it, kind of created the illusion of inches of water. That's down to about a 1/16 to a 1/4 inch of water there. So what I will tell you, I can tell that this driveway over here, it looks like kind of an RV parking pad. What often causes some of the standing water in these to begin with is people parking RVs over the top of a line, and they just sit there for years and years in the exact same place. If you can, I would try not to park things for huge amounts of time. Anyway, my camera right now is upside down. That water line isn't even hitting the bottom of my camera lens. And the belly here dissipates out at barely even 2 feet. We'll call it 2 feet for the sake of making it easy. It's actually less than that. And at its worst point there, I will write this up, you've got between a 1/16 and a 1/4 inch standing water. And for reference, I don't even consider repairs on bellies until you have at least an inch of standing water for a minimum of 5 feet. That's static with no water running at all. And again, keep in mind, there is still water trickling through the pipes. So you have even less than that there. I'm about to clean out to 2 feet. Realistically, you're at about a 1/16. I'll write a 1/4 of an inch to give a little bit of breath there. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, at the 5 foot of pipe with an inch of standing water mark is where I start to consider repairs on bellies. The only time I ever recommend repairs on bellies in plastic sewer lines like this is when it is underneath the house or immediately outside the home. Once you start getting any reasonable distance from the house, that belly starts to require a lot of doing on the homeowner's side to ever result in the blockage. If you took that same belly out there around 58 to 62 feet and put it in old rough gnarly cast iron pipe, it would be something I'd be more concerned about, where you get the coupling effect of rough pipe walls snagging that slow moving debris. You don't have that same problem in smooth plastic pipe. So even then, honestly, you would still struggle to have problems unless the line was being beaten up to some extent by the homeowner. And by that I mean putting a lot of grease, cooking oil, wipes, flushable wipes. You don't want to put any of that stuff down your line. You want it to be toilet paper, and you want to fold it. Balled up toilet paper will block up perfectly good sewer lines with no defects in them. So you want to try and fold your TP, and don't use flushable wipes. They're slightly less horrible than paper towels are on your sewer line. All the pipe we just scoped there, all of it is intact. It's not a perfect sewer line, but it functions quite nicely. There is almost no buildup in the line, and the only buildup that is in there is a little bit of grease, which is, again, it's another improper item that shouldn't go down your line anyway. So, but the line is so clean, I can't even recommend you do drain cleaning on it. So none of those issues there rise to the level of repair worthy, in my opinion, not by a ways. Sewer line is functioning properly at this time.